What's up, guys? Are you a fan of Bacon Is My Podcast? And you're like, where can I find more stuff?
Well, we've got the site for you at baconismypodcast.com. That's where you can find literally everything. It's the portal to his stuff, my stuff, and our stuff, including Bacon's My Fashion.
You can find t-shirts, you can find hats, you can find all kinds of stuff to put on your body parts. You can also check out all of our awesome sponsors, get discounts. We always have the most recent and the best prices for you. And check it out also over at patreon.com/
Bacon is My Podcast. Never changing.
Never changing. Find us at baconismypodcast.com. Thanks for checking it out, guys. And remember to ask yourselves,
what's your bacon?
World peace.
Welcome to Sorta Kinda Funny. We're a comedy podcast.
Brother and sister duo.
Where we take your guys' embarrassing moments and stories and turn them into humor, because life's about laughing at yourself, and we are sure gonna laugh at ourselves. I am James. I am your main Mac Daddy host, and I'm also joined by a loser. Go ahead and introduce yourself, loser. Go ahead. Don't be shy.
This is Lauren.
Give it to them.
Absolutely.
Baby.
Absolutely. What did you say?
Also, we sing a lot, so if you haven't listened to this first episode, I'm sorry.
We have new episodes available every Thursday and would love nothing more than to hang out with you. Does that sound too desperate?
Yes.
Okay. Check us out wherever you listen to your podcasts, and we'll see you on Thursday. And as always,
text me if you want to hang out.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Discussion and Drinks.
Yeah.
Where we are going to talk all about, to quote a host, the elephant in the room. Waka waka.
Waka waka.
Yeah, we were supposed to be at Capulet Fest this weekend in Thompson, Connecticut.
Donna, you should have a Guinness and a shot of tequila.
Yeah.
You can sip that shot. You don't have to do the shot. I mean, let's not be crazy. But
I mean,
a little sipper.
Yeah.
A little sipper with a Guinness chaser.
And he's talking to Donna because Donna is one of the patrons over at patreon.com/bacon is my podcast, who's joining us live. If you guys want to join us live in the future, go over there.
We'll tell you what to drink.
Yeah, we'll help you.
Well, it's because she asked.
And you can tell us all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Capulet Fest because we were supposed to be there.
We were supposed to be there.
And we ended up dropping off real late in the game. And the goings on, the things that I was told I was reached out to by SiriusXM.
Yes, you were privy to a lot more information than I was. I got mine through you.
Yeah. Well, I had people like coming to us because they knew that we were press there.
Right.
And like vendors and stuff like that, they were all kind of like, hey, this is happening, or do you know what's happening, or whatever. Even fellow press members of the press were kind of talking with us. But we're also going to talk a little bit about, I think, personally, just because I handle a lot of the business end of things, the way we handled this festival and how things ended up. I think we, in terms of the industry side of things, ended up better off than when we were before, how we were before.
Sure.
And also, I have a feeling that we might have made out better on the industry side of things
than if we had gone and it went well.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. So
I was thinking that too because people rally.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you survive something with somebody.
Yeah.
We went through this together.
We were in the trenches.
Yeah.
So hang on tight, folks. Capulet Fest.
Hold on to your butts.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my...
Are okay.
Okay.
And they won't do it there.
Okay.
But you can't do it within the first 5 minutes. I'm talking about cursing on YouTube right now.
Yeah, it's a new thing.
Because we have filthy freaking mouths.
Yes.
And we've been trying to watch it. But now
we have to watch it.
Now we have to watch it because we've been demonetized.
Right. So yeah, Capulet Fest. For those of you who don't know, last year we covered it. It was an awesome rock festival. out in Thompson, Connecticut at the Thompson Motor Speedway. A lot of really great bands played, and we put out a ton of content from it. We met a whole bunch of really, really, really cool people. It was a really great time. Fast forward, we released about 20 pieces of content from it.
Sure.
Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, we had a show where we interviewed and hung out with the promoter, Esteban Vega.
Had a great talk with him.
Had a really great time.
Good guy.
Right. This is so what I do want to say is this, like, we're going to talk about it here, but this is not a smear piece.
Yeah, we're going to be honest.
This is not a thing to dish the dirt. This is not anything to attack a person, stuff like that, because quite honestly, like, if any of us were in his shoes, it's hard to say how we would react ourselves.
Right. Sometimes you roll the dice when things are happening and you do what you need to get something done.
Right.
And it works out in your favor because it gets done. And you're like, okay, cool. And you like just sneak by at the end and you're like, okay, I paid everyone I needed to pay. Right. I got everything. It worked. And then sometimes it doesn't.
I do think
and you make bad choices.
This particular situation was handled quite poorly.
Seems like it was handled poorly.
There were bad decisions,
bad choices.
And there's other ways that it could have been handled. But we'll discuss all that stuff. So long and short of it, we have a great time with him on the festival. We were tapped to be, just like we said, we were part of the vendor village with all the merch, the band merch, and the vendors. Just like last year, set up a nice PA.
Yep.
Do some interviews.
Got to be the entertainment for the vendor village,
right,
man.
Right. We brought a lot of attention to the vendor village last year.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was all good. It was all good. And then on Wednesday morning, I get an email from the PR person for Capulet saying, I have decided that I am no longer going to be working on this project. So for any information, anything that needs to be dealt with, please reach out to them directly. I am no longer involved.
Which, those of you who have ever worked with a PR person as far as like trying to book something or book somebody for something, anybody else that's ever done any kind of like tried to promote yourself and gone through PR and everything, like that is
bad.
A bad sign. And that is unusual.
Bad.
That is unusual. PR people generally don't pull out of things because they're being paid regardless, right? So they have to think like, I don't want my name attached to this and I don't want to be anywhere near this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, we dealt with that at Bamboozle too.
Yes, yes, we did.
The PR company did the same thing, and we were like, "Oh, okay."
And sometimes it's them. Sometimes it's like, "Oh, these PR people they're kind of jerk offs. They're abandoning ship here, and that like someone's having a hard time and they're just blowing it off."
Yeah. No.
Or they didn't get paid yet, or you know, lots of reasons.
Yeah.
Lots of reasons.
But so you know what? I chalk it all up to, hey, maybe they got into a disagreement.
Sure.
We weren't really working through her that much anyway, just because of the way our setup was. And I said, okay, no problem. Start finding out because we're booking interviews, we're talking with PR, we're talking with management, we're doing all this stuff because we do this all ourselves.
Yeah.
And people are like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, what?
What does that mean?
What do you mean by that? Go to find out on Wednesday that there's a possibility of this thing not happening at the venue that it's happening at.
Right.
And I said, all right, well, you know,
That can happen for a lot
that
of
happens
reasons.
for a lot of reasons.
Yep.
You know, like let's.
We were caught in a rainstorm last year,
right.
and look at it outside right now.
Right.
You know, it could have been something like
Could have
that.
been there. I said to myself, hey, could be a lot of things, but you know what? We'll make the best of it. It's, you know, is what it is. Then more people start coming to me. Now artists, bands, come to me asking, I mean, did you hear anything? And I'm like, we're press. We're considered press. We're the very last people to know.
Right, yeah.
It's usually bands.
We're not going to hear before you.
It's usually bands, fans, vendors,
Press.
other people.
Right, yeah.
Press. Like, we're always the last.
Runners.
Right.
Press.
And they're asking us. And I'm like, I don't know. Things start getting tense by Wednesday night. And word is going around. Now the fans are finding out.
Right.
And they're putting posts up like, what the hell's going on? What the hell's going on?
Well, and was it Wednesday? No, it might have been. It was Thursday that you were like, it might be canceled entirely.
Yes.
I think that was Thursday.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, Thursday.
Right. We started getting all these weird kind of things.
Thursday, we're starting to find out that.
Oh, you know what? Let's get Deaf Bird's thing up there, just because maybe we do.
Bacon is my Podfest has been something we've been talking about.
We've been talking about it for a couple years now.
We've been talking about it.
Although after seeing all this, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if that's that either. We were able to get out of this with hands clean.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. So Thursday all day, bands, it's just complete chaos. It is complete and utter chaos when it comes to the booking of this festival. And I'm finding out that bands are not playing anymore. And I'm like, why? And then people are on social media are all abuzz. This whole time, the promoter has not come out and said anything. Nothing. Not a thing.
Yep.
Then the venue, the original venue, comes out and says, hey, to everyone calling, no, the festival is not happening here. We don't know why a statement hasn't been made.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
But yeah, we don't know why a statement hasn't been made. But it is not happening. Anything that has to happen for Capulet Fest has to be talked about through them directly.
Wow. I didn't know that the venue did that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I had called the venue earlier. That's why we knew that it was moving.
Yeah.
Because I called it before lunchtime on Thursday saying, hey, what's going on? And they were like, no, it's not happening here. Okay. It isn't until about 3:00 that Capulet gets on the interwebs and says, hey, guys, the festival is still happening. It's moving, but I can't say anything yet. Please stay with us. Hang tight.
So still at this point, it's like, okay, some crazy stuff happened.
It's weird, but
he's
also,
really trying hard to work through it.
Listen,
we're trying to figure this out.
As far as I'm concerned, too, depending on it, and they did say to us too, like, it is happening in Connecticut,
right?
And you know, like, honestly, depending on where in Connecticut, it could mess with. I know that a lot of the people playing were part of tour packages,
right?
And tour packages have what's called a proximity clause, and depending on where they are, it could interfere with the proximity clause. You're dealing with 55 bands.
You could be 10 miles. A 10-mile change of venue
is all it takes.
Could put you in breach of contract with the place.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, it's 55 bands. Like,
everybody's not on this.
Like, let's kind of see what happens here. Shortly after, it was announced that it would be happening at the Webster Theater in Hartford. Now,
So it went from a capacity of
anywhere between 10 and 13,000.
right down to a capacity of
The large room holds 1,200 people, and the small room 250 people.
not a mathematician, but that seems
Considerably less.
considerably less. Yes, especially when you consider 55 bands. If all those bands just have band members,
Mhm.
and there's 4 band members to each one, we are already past capacity. Like we
That is
can't
correct.
do this show,
That is correct.
right? So there's cause for alarm and concern.
There is cause for alarm and concern.
Yeah.
And basically, I just kind of, anything that we were getting was very vague. It was very, like, can't say anything, this and that.
Right.
Luckily enough, I have good enough relationships with a lot of PR and a lot of management where they're kind of like, hey, this is a mess. Like, this is kind of what's happening. So we were in the know for a little bit. Then the bands started sounding off. And I'm sorry. No, first was the announcement of the change.
Right.
Now, on top of the capacity thing, people paid for camping.
Right. Yes, it was also going to be a campground.
Yes.
And
now it's moving to this venue,
indoor
in Hartford,
venue, theater,
which is
No camping.
sketchy. No camping. Sketchy area. Lots of break-ins for cars.
Well,
now
the
people
good
are
thing if
freaking
you're in a place where they break into cars is if you're camping in your car, they generally skip you.
out. There you go.
So
Yeah.
I mean, silver lining.
Good safety tip.
Silver lining.
Good safety tip.
You don't want someone to break into your car? Sleep in it.
Yeah. Then they start dropping some schedules. And the schedules now are missing bands.
Mm-hmm.
Not just bands, but headliners.
The main bands.
Number of main bands,
Mhm.
yes. That first announcement at that point, I believe it was 17 bands were no longer on the bill. And no
Right.
reason why.
Right.
No this, no that. The one most affected was Sunday. People are like, what's that all about?
Right.
And the promoter did a post and he said, due to the change in venue, we had to make some adjustments. And due to the smaller size of the venue, certain bands have decided to drop.
Now, I just want to pause you there for a second. I'm going to say, up until this point, we were still of the mindset of, all right, we can make anything work.
We can make it work.
We can still create a good time, have a good time, get good content. We could still go be a part of this and make it fun, make it cool, and be a positive part of it, right? We had little bits of concern when a couple of the vendors you got news from a couple of the vendors of they were losing money because they put so much into food to make and things like that. But change of venue happens. These things can happen, right? And as long as everybody's being transparent and forthcoming with information, then you can make these things work, right? There's 2 ways to choose. You can either be forthcoming and transparent, or you can try and kind of you can be shady,
Spin the narrative,
and try and spin, and
a little bit of gaslighting.
And we still at this point were like, all right, we didn't feel great about it. We talked about it. We were like, we didn't feel great about the idea, but we were like, okay, well, I mean, let's just kind of see what happens. But once that was put out, and then we started getting information from some of these bands that maybe wasn't the case, that they didn't drop off, then it started to feel like, oh, wait a minute, man, you're passing the buck here, and you're trying to shift. You're trying to take the shine off of you and throw it on some of these bands with fans.
Right.
So, okay, unpause. I just wanted to kind of get that.
So the lineup comes up, and there's a lot of bands. Like, there are bigger bands missing. One of those bands, actually, I had found out earlier that Saint Sonia, because we were set up to hang out with Adam.
Yeah.
And they had said to us, hey, we're not going to be, they're not playing anymore. I said, okay, no problem. The biggest band, the biggest thing that people were really pissed off about was Sunday.
Sunday was a big day.
Nothing More.
Yeah.
Was the big headliner, and they were taken off. Cold was taken off. There were a number of bands taken off, and it was much smaller. It was much smaller. The headliner would be Taproot, and under them would be Lacey Strum.
Right.
Letter Kills at the time was still listed. I mean, it was just considerably smaller, and nobody knew why. The schedule started coming out, and then we start finding out from bands who have now been told they're not playing anymore.
Right.
Not that they weren't dropping. They were told they're not playing.
They didn't say, hey, we've decided not to do this. They were told, they were told it wasn't happening.
Some bands were told it wasn't happening.
Right? Like,
so yes. So Saint Sonia, they tried. They actually, because they were told your production is too big, we won't be able to do it. And they were like, well, we'll do a scaled back thing. And the drummer will even borrow skillets because they're friends.
Right.
We'll even borrow their kit. And they said, nope.
See, band's trying to make things work, man.
What's up, Ziggy?
What's going on, Ziggy?
So that was one thing. And then 10 Years, the band 10 Years came out and said, hey, we were told it was canceled altogether.
Right. This is where our alarms started going off.
It was like, uh-oh. And then came the nail in the coffin for us.
Mm-hmm.
Is Nothing More put out a scathing statement.
Yeah.
Basically saying, hey, this is the truth. This is what happened. This is how things went. We're not going to support this, and we hope the fans do the same and follow suit.
Yeah. So quickly to put that in perspective, right? The band who was told they weren't going to be playing anymore started seeing posts about how bands dropped off and went, oh no. And whatever interactions they had made it enough for them to not only, sometimes you can just wash your hands of things. You can just be like, well, this is a crap situation. We're just going to, all right, everybody lost on this. We got to go. But if you're, as bands, your value, your currency, your livelihood is your fan base. That's everything for you. That's your heartbeat. That's everything. So if someone gets in between you in that and tries to do something that makes you look poorly, or like you decided not to do something for your fans and then not contact them, that's grounds for fighting back.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all right.
It's well after
it's one.
5 minutes.
It's well after 5 minutes. Yeah. I mean, demonetized, but that's all right. But yes, totally grounds for it. So it's like once this came out, I think both of us, like you let me know that happened, and I was like, my brain was like, we can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be a part of this.
Yeah.
I am so proud of the reputation that we and that you have cultivated with bands, with PR people, with the people that we've worked with, people that we haven't even worked with yet. Word of mouth has gotten around that we are a good safe place to go talk, you know, and a fun podcast to be on, and our reputation is really like, I'm super proud of it. And it's like, I'll fiercely protect that over anything. You know what I mean? Like it's the same way. It's almost the same as I would say for a band with fans.
Right.
You know, I would say the same thing. So I know for me, and I was talking to you, and I was like, you know more than me. What's your gut telling you? But for me, I was like, I don't know if I want to be a part of this at this point. And we were on the same page, but I think we were both just kind of like, do you have a better, like, because neither of us wanted to like say, let's not do this without the other one going like, I don't think we should do this. So we were both like, kind of like, do you have a different perspective right now than I'm having? Because I don't want to I don't want to not do this because I'm upset right now.
Yeah, it's hard to be objective. You know?
Exactly.
It's hard to be objective.
That was the word I was looking
kind of
for.
Stuff. And then at the same time, you know, like we said, Esteban came on the show. He was fun to talk to.
Yeah,
we had great conversation. He and I
personally, I have nothing bad to say about the guy in a one-on-one personal.
We've been talking to him for you know, a couple years, and
he was great last year.
Right, and very very cordial with us. Very, you know, we asked for things, and he tried to make them happen for us. And you know, like it's I can't say like
I can't call him a bad guy,
right? But
I can say that like I can say that like if everything went down the way that I heard it went down, and the way that we're kind of finding out it went down, then he got in over his head. He made bad deals, and he made bad choices. And when put in the position to do the right thing or to try and cover his own ass, he made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It's hard to make the right choice is not always easy. But
so, I mean, like,
honesty, transparency, forthcoming. That's always the right thing.
We ultimately decided on Thursday night at around 8:15 or so, 8:20, whatever it was, that like, this isn't going to be good for us. This is probably a bad idea to do. And also, you know, one of the points that I brought up, it's like, and we'll discuss this a little further, but you know, bands, vendors, other sponsors, they can go do what they do, never talk about it all weekend, and then leave and never talk about it again.
Yeah.
It's our job to go there, tout how much fun we're having. It's our job to go and just
champion these things.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's our job to afterwards release content talking about how great it was, touting how you know, all these things. And based on what was happening, we could not in good conscience.
Yeah. Well, it's not our job. That's what's being asked of us.
Well, yeah.
Right. Like, to me, our job is to just talk about things in an honest way.
Right.
And if we think we can't do what they want us to do,
right, and
still be honest, then we either have to go and then possibly damage things. I'm not about to do damage control for people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you made a bad move,
sorry.
Yeah. Like if a bad situation happens and it just happens and everybody's got the wrong idea about it, then yeah, I'll do damage control and I'll fight back and I'll challenge anybody's information. But like, man, if you're in the wrong, I'm not gonna do it.
Right.
I'm not gonna do it.
So
I barely do that to my closest friends. I'm like you're wrong here, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm that guy. So
yeah. And so we decided not to, and we put out our statement on Thursday night, you know, talking about it, and
beautifully written statement, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
That was really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I sent an email to Esteban first, and I
Mhm.
kind of said, hey, listen, actually, before I did that, I reached out to Esteban, and I reached out to all the people that we were supposed to do something with before I announced it to everybody. I wanted to give them the courtesy of knowing first.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did that, and got back a lot of really, really great responses, really positive responses, really grateful responses. About being transparent and being easy to work with, and all that kind of stuff, and it was really good. We put our statement out, and went to bed, and then I woke up. And it was day one, and things started getting crazy, and I was being reached out to by press.
Right.
I guess just from us talking about it on the show and our statement that we wrote.
Post,
Sirius XM reached out to us. And
we were like, give us an hour.
it was
give us a time slot. Serious.
And right. It was kind of wacky, and at that point I kind of became a little bit more privy to the inner workings and the things that were happening inside, because people were asking me and people were telling me.
Yeah.
We were, it's not with everyone, but we cultivate friendships with bands, and I had bands reaching out to us, kind of saying, hey, like, what do you think? Like, this week,
right?
Our guest this week, we were looking forward to hanging out.
Oh man,
with Gene.
like I'm so bummed.
I'm so bummed.
I was more excited for him to help us host
the
7 questions. Then, man, I was almost more excited for that than anything else.
Oh yeah,
that was like my biggest thing.
I was excited.
Like, oh man, Gene. I can't wait.
I was so excited to hang out with Gene, and he was asking me. He's like, hey man, like, what do you think? And I told him flat out, I was like, listen, dude, this is becoming a dicey situation. There's a lot of rumors, a lot of different narratives getting spun. I was like, it's not like you guys are on tour here.
Right.
Like, if this was a stop on your tour, go see how it goes. It's a straight up fly out gig. They were going to fly in. They were going to get picked up from the airport from their staff.
Right.
They were going to get brought to a hotel. They were going to come in. They were going to play, and they were going to fly home, get paid, and fly home. And I was like, I honestly would err at the side of caution personally, based on what your situation is. But I can't tell you that. I can't. I can't. That's what I would do. Like, this could be bad. As the day progressed, started hearing rumblings about, Sunday is going to be canceled.
Right.
Now, what we didn't talk about was the Sunday schedule. Now, Sunday, so
I will point
Friday
out, Donna, for the BIMP squad on our Patreon, was actually going to get tickets and go. She just said she's glad her and Don didn't get tickets.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't get tickets too,
Me
because I don't even want to know what it's like to have to get refunds at this point, because you said people were putting in fraudulent credit card things, and it's all chaos. From everything I'm hearing, it's chaos right now.
Yes.
Trying to do that. So
now we talked about the 1,200 capacity room and the 250 capacity room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now 250 capacity means,
and the vendor village outside in the parking lot.
Well, Friday,
where we would have been,
out that
apparently.
No, it wasn't the parking lot. It was in the smoking section.
Okay. So even smaller than the parking lot.
Yes. So I'm hearing all sorts of stuff going on now regarding the fact that it was moved to a place that had because again, Capulet Fest was supposed to be 2 stages, right?
Yep.
Now
3 days, 2 stages, 55.
The Webster has a 1,200 capacity. at a 250 capacity.
Yep.
That 250 is bands, production, fans.
Right.
It's everyone.
Right.
Now,
which means
Friday and Saturday,
fans maybe 100 and
175.
yeah, could probably be in there after everything
180.
else. Yeah.
Now, Friday and Saturday, we're going to have both rooms. Now, Sunday, they spun the narrative and they said, unique, intimate experience, because they were only able to get the smaller room.
Right. Something was already booked at the bigger room.
Something was already booked at the bigger room. So that is why about more than half of the Sunday bill was taken off. So now there's rumblings of, well, Sunday I don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
So
do we know if it happened?
What?
Do we know? Do you have that answer?
Yeah. I told you last night.
No, you didn't tell me.
Oh, yeah. What I told you happened.
You told me that it was maybe going to get canceled.
Oh, okay. I want to see your reaction to this.
Okay.
Okay. So Friday, I'm hearing rumblings. I reach out to Gene. I'm like, listen, dude, I was just told that Sunday might not happen.
Right.
Like, he's like, yeah, I'm glad you reached out. We kind of decided it's probably better.
The last thing I heard too, and I didn't look today on purpose.
We're gonna make okay. So Friday happens. Saturday morning comes, and more bands have dropped from the bill.
Right.
On Saturday.
Right.
For Saturday. People are complaining about VIP because people have paid $700 to get VIP experience with meet and greets and all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile,
and now all these bands are gone.
Only 3 bands did meet and greets the first day, and everybody met them. It wasn't a VIP experience; it was everybody.
Right.
So that's a big issue. Now on Capulet's side, the people that were told that they were going to get camping stuff, what Capulet did was they said, "Hey, we found a hotel. The hotel was about an hour away from the venue, but they were putting people up there."
Did they? Okay.
They were allowing people to put people up there.
See, you get like good things like that too.
Well,
you know.
Yeah. So
yin and yang.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. So so the Saturday is going, and things are getting ugly, uglier. There's like a VIP early entry and then a late entry, and the VIP entry is an hour late, but it's everybody's being let in, and it's just becoming this thing. And then I'm told, I was told that, hey, they're going to be canceling Sunday after the last band plays.
You did send me that, but you didn't tell me that it was definite. You said,
and
I was like, no.
Sure enough, sure as anything. So what ended up happening was, and the way I had found out officially was because the vendors are all like, hey, listen, what's the deal? Because now that we don't have both rooms, where am I going to be?
Right.
Because it's only allowed 250 people in this room.
And the vendors are talking to us because we actually reached out to them and we were working stuff out. We were doing like a corn eating contest. We were doing
kettle corn.
Yeah. So we had things set up with vendors, which is why, vendors weren't just like, hey, let's contact Bacon is my podcast. It's because we actually we're setting things up,
relationships with these people.
Yeah.
So they're all saying, hey, listen, this is a 250 person capacity room. Like, are we going to be allowed to set up with this other? And it was a freestyle competition. So have you ever heard of freestyle genre music? Stuff. It's almost like dance meets hip hop,
kind
of thing. And they're all like, what are we doing? and they were pressing him, and he waited until Skillet started playing to tell everybody.
Again, choosing to cover yourself versus give people the information that they need to make a decision that's going to better their situation.
Yeah.
It's a selfish choice.
On top of that,
I get it. It's an impossible situation, but never ruin your relationship with the people you work with.
Yeah.
To save yourself.
Now, the next thing is that, so one of the vendors, I'm not going to say who it was, but they said, all right, yeah, he just told us, and he's literally making the calls to the bands right now. So then he started calling the bands and the management.
Right.
And it wasn't until Skillet was finished that the first band put their statement out. And it wasn't until much later that not only did they put a statement out, but again, it was twisting the narrative. And everybody can speculate and decide for themselves, but I do want to read it because I do think that it's
and we're just giving
poignant
giving your firsthand account of what was happening as well. So, other people had different experiences, different accounts, different conversations, but this was yours.
And as we speak, he has taken the Capulet Fest site down.
Whole site is down. Okay.
He has taken the whole thing down. Now, basically, long and short of it, he said he posted, we tried, we kicked, we whatever, we wrestled, we tried to make this work. We became a target. We've become under attack. We hope you enjoyed the music, and for those of you who came out and had a good time, thank you. Goodbye. And then, because it didn't say what was going on,
right?
Instead of saying Sunday's canceled, he edited it and said Sunday is no longer an option. And
so
that was it.
Very much acting like, man, it's like you kind of, Sunday wasn't not an option, right? It wasn't taken from you.
Right.
You're not a victim here. And I'm sure he feels like it. I'm sure he feels like a victim. I'm sure he does. And in some ways, maybe he is, and maybe he's not even in a position right now where he can emotionally look at it and go, here's where I did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And here's where I made an error. And here's where I should have thought about this. Because we're talking about a guy that, man, he loves bands.
He loves music.
He loves music. He loves these bands. He's been putting on shows forever. He's done right by bands.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's the other thing too. We national acts don't think very highly of him, but
right.
There are a nice handful of bands that were on the bill that we're gonna stick through it. They were like, no, he's been good to us. Like,
right.
I have no reason not to.
I think he reached outside of his ability and he tried to make deals and he tried to make it work without the ability to make it work.
Yeah.
And I think that he was in over his head, and I think that he panicked. I can't imagine the stress.
Oh yeah.
Think of the stress of putting together a local show.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's awful.
It sucks.
I can't imagine 55 bands, some of them being huge major acts.
Right.
3 days, all these things, and then right before dominoes start falling, and you're just trying to like, how do I keep this working? How do I make this go?
Mhm.
You know, like how. And I think I think he made bad decisions. He
Mhm.
made some selfish choices that are going to hurt him in the future. And I think that's sad. I think that sucks. You know, like I don't I can't just vilify the guy.
Right.
I have to be like, you know, like, dude, you put yourself in a position to get kicked in the mouth, and you got kicked in the mouth.
Right.
But the choice to not be forthcoming, and the choice to try and spin things, and the choice to just kind of like be a victim or say you're a victim, that's where I'm kind of like,
yeah,
man, I think that's something that I think he's going to regret later.
Oh yeah.
And that's a shame. And that's something that, like, I mean, hey, we're bands.
Yeah.
We're in this for the bands.
Well, you know, speaking
You
of that end of things, there's a couple of things I wanted to discuss, because there's some like big issues that have come up, and I do want to touch on them, because there's definitely some shade thrown at bands who participate in stuff, and I want to touch on that. But also, you know, as far as some of the information that has come out, they knew that it wasn't happening at the race track on Monday.
Yeah.
There was production teams going, and they were not going to get paid. They were not going to get paid, and they knew, so they turned around, hightailed it, and there were also he was
you know
people,
these things for facts.
Yes.
Before we
yes.
I was gonna say, like, make sure we say that, like, if you just heard this.
No. That was a fact. That was a fact. That the racetrack came.
Can you imagine, man? Can you imagine you had all this stuff? Say you're him, and you find out on Monday. Do you cancel the whole thing? Do you risk? Do you go, I got to find a new place? Do we start telling bands? If we start telling bands, they're probably going to start dropping off. Maybe we can find a place, and you run out of time.
I think it's a very unique situation.
Oh, that would suck. That would suck so bad.
Another thing that you know, that is being thrown out there is that the money wasn't there.
Yeah.
And it was quite evident by the actual capacity of the rooms that they I mean, the first day they confirmed that it was between 600 and 700 tickets sold.
Ooh.
The first day.
Ooh.
Which means the rest.
They needed a smaller venue.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that be the case. I mean, listen, I can't imagine.
He was counting on tickets to pay for this thing.
Yes.
Right. And so he put up borrowed money. Here's my guess. This is my guess. He put up borrowed money or collateral, right, to get this thing to go, and was like, we're going to sell these tickets and we're going to do it. And then when he found out that he didn't have the tickets sold to pay for this, it was like just panic. Oh no, I can't pay for the venue. I can't pay for the techs. I can't pay for any of these things. We have to go to a smaller venue. We have to get less techs. We have to have less bands. We have to do this. We have to do that. We have to do this.
I think it's, you know, and, you know, again, I can't pretend that I know how I would react with my back against the wall in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd venture to guess, like there is always going to be a minority that is incredibly vocal on the internet.
Yeah.
That's gonna shit all over you.
Yeah.
It's unavoidable.
Sure.
And
if everything goes perfectly, you're
still gonna get
Yeah.
haters, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to come out and say, hey guys, listen, this event undersold, we got to figure something out. We got to make some adjustments.
Yeah.
Please stay with us. We will keep you informed.
Always a better move, I think.
I think
people would
not only
rally.
that, I think people would get behind it. I think people
so
would be
too.
like, how do we help?
Yeah.
How do we make this thing happen?
I agree.
Because then you're going to them and you're gaining their trust by being forthright.
Right.
And then you're creating a community that's going to rally behind you. And, it just didn't play out that way. Some of the things that I really do, but what I wanted to discuss too is there is an online narrative that are like, well, screw the bands that participated, the vendors and the this and the sponsors and that and all that kind of stuff. Again, and this is like we're kind of like, hey, we understand his point of view here.
Yeah.
There were bands, the smaller bands, that paid upwards of $3,000.
Yeah, just to be on
be on the bill. They paid $3,000 to play a between 25 and 30-minute set to be on this bill. The vendors, I know for a fact because vendors' base price for a standard 10 by 10 spot was $450.
Yeah.
He would also come out and say, hey, for an extra 100, we'll get you in the premium spot where you could be in a better spot.
Mm-hmm.
Another vendor said that they paid $700 for their spot. Media. There were several media outlets there. And, they're not Rolling Stone or Sirius XM or anything. But they were paying to be there.
Yep. And there always is. It's always this way.
One sponsor, one person that I spoke to that ended up still going because we were going to do a joint thing. They said, we're going to go. We put in as a sponsor.
Yeah.
Now I have the sponsorship deck, the minimal price, the bottom price that you could pay to be a sponsor, and just listed on the bottom, it's $1,000. So you paid at least $1,000 to be there. Another outlet paid. Now this is what they said, but they paid $8,000 for radio spots for the festival to cover the festival. Right?
Wow.
Vendors, like I said, you pay for your spots, you pay for inventory. Food vendors pay for supplies.
They got to buy all the food. They got to get and they have to gauge it by how many people do we think are going to be there.
So you have the bands, you have all that kind of stuff. Now, are they going to drop off? They paid.
I'll pose this question: if we paid $1,000 for a spot, I think we probably would have gone.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to be like, oh, I'm going to stand for something when you don't have skin in the game.
Right.
It's easy to be moralistic and you know what I mean? It's a harder decision when you've laid out money and you're going to lose it.
And it's not
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not sure if any of our listeners, I know for me, and I'm pretty sure for you, that if we were to split $1,000, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
To lose.
Yes.
So
more than I can lose.
Right. So guess what? We're going to Hartford.
We're trying to make it happen. Now, we're not in a position where we're doing that because we're not selling things that are going to make that money back, you know, or having that.
Well, neither are those people.
Well, vendors.
Well, yeah,
vendors are. Right. You know what I mean? But they're counting on the fact of this is going to be good press. Now you're attached to something that is not good press, and now you paid for not good press.
Right.
Oh man.
Well, you know, and then you also had, you know, like I was speaking to somebody about one of the big sponsors. So August Burns Red was one of the headlining bands on Friday.
Yeah.
And they have Heart Support. I don't know if anybody has heard of it, but it's basically a nonprofit supporting mental health awareness, all that kind of stuff. They are one of the main sponsors on the festival. They are partnered with the festival. On sponsorship deck. And you know, like, should I be saying it? I don't know, but I don't care.
Right.
That level is $15,000. Okay.
Can be. Let's say can be.
Right.
We don't know what people paid.
Right.
We know what is asked. We know it's, but we don't want to give away numbers. We don't. It can be this. Right. We don't want to get any legal trouble with anybody.
Sure. But like, you know, you get all these people who are sponsors, and they're from $1,000 to $15,000, right?
Right.
You've paid that money. That could, for a small business, $15,000 could bankrupt.
Yep. Quickly,
that could
done.
Finish a business. $1,000. Finish a business.
Yep.
Ruin a terrible weekend. That's it. Your livelihood. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's done. That's it. So, you know, and then you look at these up and coming bands that are looking for this opportunity to play on a bill with bands like August Burns Red, Nothing More, and that goes a long way.
And I'll be honest with you right now. If my band paid money to be on this festival, and even at this point right now where we are, I would have gone and I would have played, because I would have been like, you know what? There's going to be people there. And if some of these big bands dropped off, well, then that means that we have an even bigger opportunity to stand out.
Well,
and we're going to do it because we paid for it, and there's going to be people there, and we're going to go entertain these people.
We need to,
and that's what we're going to do.
So there's a couple of things, right?
Yeah.
So from a band perspective, right? From a band perspective, you invested.
Yep.
So, okay, let's try and recoup.
And we're used to things not going the right way. So it's not, that's not a surprise or crazy.
Okay, let's try and recoup. Why not? Why wouldn't we try and recoup our losses? And then, there's that other part of it as a band. And this is what I wanted to leave this toward the end of this whole segment. Like, as a band, you know that people are upset. You know that people are upset with the outcome of what's happening, and they're stuck with that too. There's people that are going to go, and they're going to be there begrudgingly, right? Yeah. But at the same time, you're going to try and do your damnedest to try and
make their ticket worth it. Make their ticket worth it, man.
So that's from a band that's paid $3,000. Well, you look at a headliner like a Skillet. Yeah, like a Red, like they played last night, right? And you go, well, you know, like, the press sucks. This whole thing really, really sucks. But I think it went from like 20 bands to 13 or something like that.
Right.
Those are two bands, and they get together and they go, there are 11 bands counting on us.
Yeah.
Because they're people too.
And there's still people there that bought tickets.
Right. And they signed a contract.
Yeah, and they signed a contract.
So You want to look at it from any angle. You signed a contract. You're if you're a good person, like just thinking in a humane way.
Yeah.
You're like, well, like, we should be playing. Like, this is, people are expecting this. They bought a ticket to see us. Like, we have to do this. So like, I wanted to say all that because I know that there's a narrative out there that they're like, oh, well, they're simping for Esteban and this and that. It's like, no, you know what? They are making the best out of a shitty situation. Yeah. And you got to understand that there's a lot of reasons why you do what you do. And there's a human element to it. It's not all just dollars and cents, and this doesn't happen. It's a human reaction. And you can't boycott bands and vendors and this and that for doing that. They're playing because it's their livelihood, and also because they care about their fellow man.
Well, there's going to be people that are going to boycott bands because they played, and there's going to be people that boycott bands because they didn't play.
Right.
Because there's no winning and there's no losing.
Right. When
you're talking about a certain section of the online community, right? And the one thing that I would just ask people to remember at all times, one, these are human beings. These are human beings that are in situations where they have to make decisions. Esteban included. These are human beings, right? And these are human beings trying to put on something entertaining and cool for you. And for those that get mad at bands that drop off of things, hey, it's their job. It's their job. You might not think of it as their job because they're providing something to you that is indescribably awesome and is not thought of the same way as someone that
being an accountant
builds a car for you or does your taxes or anything like that. But still, it's a job. Living. They got to a level where it's their living, and they are paid to be somewhere, and there's contracts drawn up. And if contracts are broken, then you have to make a stand and you have to do what you have to do. And so many bands that I've seen that have dropped off things have always come back around to do something for their fans to make up for it.
Yeah.
So
I
hate that perspective.
Yeah.
And then the perspective of if you stayed on, that you're simping or that you're pathetic or that you're not standing for anything or you're just trying to. These bands aren't getting paid. They're not doing it for money. They're doing it because they want to play, and they want to play for people. And they, up until this point, have had a good relationship with a promoter, and they've built a level of trust, and they've built a level of that we don't really get to judge.
Yeah.
Like when it comes down to it, you're a fan. You like the music or you don't like the music. You like the personality of the person or you don't like the personality of the person. But your judgment, go somewhere else with that shit.
Yep.
Because you don't know what's happening. You don't know what's happening, why decisions are being made. And I'll tell you right now, as a band that played shows that has gotten screwed so many times and that has lost money so many times, and then has also signed contracts and had to do things that didn't end up the way that we wanted to do them, and also had to pull out of things because it was like, hey, I want to play this so badly for the people that are going to be there, but they are just destroying us on this contract and we can't do it. We cannot do this. Like, we can't do it the way that it's going to be set up. Like, if I'm flying somewhere and I'm going to play a show and the agreement is that I'm going to have equipment for me there that's going to help me make this show happen, and it's not going to be there, well, then guess what? I can't play the show. And it's not because I'm a dick. It's because I agreed to a situation that's not there, and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I can't show up somewhere and go buy a bunch of instruments and then show up at a show. Like, there's so many other things that go into all this stuff that people don't realize. And like, just because something's outrageous doesn't always give you the right to be outraged.
Yeah. Did you guys not get enough? I know, listen. I know this has been a great episode, right?
Give me some more.
But you've heard some commercials, right?
Give me some more.
Including this one.
Right? Give me
Right?
some more.
But where can you find actual real episodes without commercials? Early and ad-free.
Patreon.com/bacon is my podcast.
He actually got it right.
Well, I just said it because I knew you weren't going to go with the joke. But if you're thinking, give me some more, that's where you go. Patreon.com/bacon is my podcast. Sign up for one of the tiers, and you can get early, ad-free episodes, extra episodes, stuff with us cooking, stuff with us eating stuff that makes us make horrible faces. You know it. You love it. If you don't know it, you should know it, and you will love it, and you should go there, and you should never, ever, ever forget to ask yourself every single day,
Can I see Bacon's My Podcast live every Sunday?
yes, you can. And the second question is,
Oh, what's your bacon?
what's your bacon?
I'm Chris,
And I'm Mel.
and together we host the podcast
Spoil My Movie. We were watching movies anyway.
And we were having in-depth conversations about those movies too.
So, we decided to share our thoughts with the world.
You can expect me to gripe about inaccurate details like supposedly cold weather, but you can't see anyone's breath.
And you can expect me to be totally adorable, but also psychologically deep.
And by the end of each episode, we'll provide our respective ratings.
Using a rating scale custom tailored to the movie in question.
Check us out wherever you get your podcasts.
We're everywhere. We're actually behind you right now.
Yeah, so also the bands that dropped, or some of them didn't drop. Some of them were told they are not playing anymore.
Yeah.
And
Some were dropped.
And I want to do a big shout out, a big major shout out to Gina Fritz, who we got to hang out with at the first Capulet Fest.
Yep.
We were supposed to introduce her at this year's.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that.
And I said it in the post. It was going to be something I said before we played.
Thank you, AJ.
DJ.
Thank you, DJ. I didn't know if this was the one AJ was bringing to.
No, I haven't seen him yet.
Thank you, DJ, for this bottle of Jameson. We're just going to cover the ice.
Just cover the.
We're just going to cover the ice while we keep talking about this. Okay, keep going.
But yes, so yeah, where was I? Gina Fritz. She is awesome. She is working her ass off. For the patrons listening now, on Tuesday, she's going to be playing in Brooklyn at the Meadows, opening for Lacey Strum from Flyleaf. If you're listening to this and you're not a patron, she played yesterday.
She played yesterday.
Don't go.
Hopefully it was great.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
I'm sure it was great.
But yeah, she is probably the hardest working musician in the Northeast right now. If you get
And she was great last year when we got to spend some time with her.
fantastic.
So
Fantastic
look up
person.
that. It's an old episode from Capulet.
We're talking.
Yeah,
we're gonna have
We'll have
her
her
on. But hardest working musician in the Northeast, works her ass off, does a ton of national act things, and not only does the national act things, but she performs with them.
Goes up and sings with him, yeah.
Just the most recent one, she did something with Rivals.
Right.
She performed Dark Matter with Rivals, which was awesome. But she's done stuff with Escape the Fate. She was all over Capulet 23, where she was just performing with a whole bunch of people, and she's a hustler, man.
Yeah.
She's a hustler.
Got
her and her
respect.
band, bunch of sweethearts. The dudes in her band
They were fun, man.
good
personalities,
dudes.
fun.
So we're gonna have them. We're gonna have them soon, and we're gonna share their music with you. But I did want to shout them out.
Yeah.
So that being said, to the patrons, what she is doing, and to the people who are listening, what she is doing as of today is that if you DM her and you send her your ticket for Capulet Fest, even though she did end up performing and everything like that, she is going to get you on the guest list for her show with Lacey Strum.
That's awesome. Good for her, man.
Right? Like,
Also,
that's cool.
let's not ignore the fact that, like, if you're in a band and you're performing shows, that's the greatest thing in the world, is performing a show.
Right.
Let's get rid of all the I paid to do this or I'm being paid to do this. Like, the thing you want to do more than anything else in the world is perform for people. And the hardest decision to make is to pull yourself out of a situation of performing for people.
Yeah.
Because you're like, damn it, I really want to do this.
Another band.
So just to throw that out.
Another band who is trying to make right by the fans is Senses Fail. They were told they are no longer playing. They were supposed to play Sunday as well. They came out and said, hey, listen, if you had a ticket to Capulet, reach out to us. We're going to put you on our guest list to our Boston show when we come back in, I think it's October or November. It Dies Today did something else. All these bands are trying to make good on something that they didn't create.
Yeah.
And
they're going out of their way.
That is really,
to give
cool
fans things that, let's be honest, you don't deserve, but it's just nice that they're doing it. Right? And I don't say you don't deserve it as a slam. I'm just saying you don't. You didn't do anything. You buy their music and you go to their shows. You're not owed if something happens, and they're doing it anyway. So appreciate it, right? Like, again, that's not me trying to say anything bad about you as a fan. It's me saying, realize that, like, I don't, as a fan of music, I don't deserve anything from any of the bands that I like, because I already got it, because they play music that affects me, right? And if I get to go see them, awesome. The only thing I deserve from buying a ticket and then them not being there is a refund. That's all I deserve, and I don't deserve it from them. I deserve it from the promoter. If I don't go, if I decide to still go, then I don't deserve anything.
Right.
Right? I just get to go, man, that sucks. I wish I could have seen this band.
That is really the one thing I do hate about, some of the things going on Facebook is that people, again, like you said, it's chaos. At the beginning of the week, banks were doing chargebacks.
Yeah.
And now it seems to be not as easy to do so.
Yeah.
All that being said,
to be honest, that makes it so much harder for the promoter to give refunds.
Right.
Because, like, if you create a situation where you're saying you were fraudulently charged, and then they're trying to do something where they're refunding people, they now have to deal with all that.
Right.
As well.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, sometimes it's like, wait a couple days, see what happens. You can always do that, but like that whole jump to, like, I need to do this right now. Like, you're not going to get it back, right? Like,
right.
Chill out.
Yeah.
Chill out.
But what I do hate is the fact that there were people on like discussing it, saying that they got their money back, but we're still going to the festival. How awful is that? Like, you know what? I get that you're mad. I get that you're upset. I get that you got screwed over or whatever, but you're no better.
Dude, it's not even that.
You're no better than what you think you're going up against.
They don't even think they're going up against anything.
You are just as bad as you think Esteban is.
Those are people that don't stand for anything. They stand for something if it's a popular hashtag. They stand for something if it gets them likes and fake ass pats on the back online. Those are just people that are trying to get away with something. It's stealing. You're a scumbag.
Right.
Like,
you go and you go, you're saying, oh, well, this guy's a scumbag. And then you turn around and you do that, you're a scumbag. Because you still went.
Right.
You still went.
Right.
You still
Like,
paid for
that's
something. Honestly, like, listen.
It's messed up.
The camping thing, the VIP thing, okay, I get all that stuff. But if you pay for a regular ticket, it was like $65, $70, okay? For the bands that were playing, that's an absolute steal, right? And then going to a small venue, let's be real here, right? If you're a fan of August Burns Red, right? If you're a fan of that band, and they're playing a 1,200 cap room. When are you going to see that again?
Right. If it gets switched to a 1,200 cap room with you and 600 other people,
When are you
that's the
ever
greatest.
gonna get that again?
You're gonna have that.
That is a show. Like that was the
Yeah.
other thing. Like people were posting, oh, there's only 400 people there. There's only 500 people there.
Cool.
Yeah, you know what? Cool. You're one of them.
Dude, I saw Seven Dust in a room with 200 people. And I will remember that for the rest of my life.
I saw Seether
it
in
was
a room
so cool.
with like 12 other people at
Yeah.
Mulcahy's. And you know what? Awesome. Awesome experience.
Yeah. I saw Foo Fighters in a basement.
Well, that's
25 people.
Right.
That was incredible.
And
It was
it's
the best, one of the best shows
it's like,
ever.
So you're complaining, right? That
Yeah.
you're not getting your money's worth, and you're still going. You're still consuming music. You're still
Yeah.
helping. So what?
So
like,
all
you
you're
are-
doing is being like, cool, I stole this.
You know what you are? You are an out and out piece of garbage.
I agree. That I don't get it. I guess I
an
do.
awful
I guess I
person.
get it. But like, it's just shady. It's just so shady.
You know,
And
you're
lame.
you're not helping the situation. You're making it worse.
Yeah. You're creating a situation where they lose more money.
Right.
Which is why this is happening in the first place.
Exactly.
You know, like
People. The other thing that I noticed too is a lot of people, and I'm not Dawn. I'm not saying to you, but what I'm saying is to the online complainers, is like, I wanted to buy a ticket, but I'm so glad I didn't. It's like, well, because you didn't buy that ticket is why it didn't happen, because you thought about it
Right.
happening.
Right.
Now listen, you should have the money in place to do what you set out to do.
yeah, you shouldn't need the ticket sales to
Right.
make it happen, but I get when that happens.
But-
because on a small scale, we've done it.
We've all done it
I mean,
on a way smaller scale.
if anybody local or anybody in the BIMP squad has been to went to one of the Craving Strange album release shows, like, we booked that with unspent money,
Mhm.
pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, if we didn't fill the room, we were going to be screwed. And that's how most shows go for local bands.
Right.
That's how most things go for local bands in general, which is why also, like, I don't begrudge any of the smaller bands for doing this thing.
Hell no.
Because we're used to it. We're used to that idea of like, okay, we didn't bring in enough money, so things changed. All right. I mean, if you're a musician, that's what happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. You're talking about pulling out of the show because like you had to fly there. I had to fly there, and you canceled it so late that I can't get refunded on my flights.
Yeah.
So now I'm losing money anyway. So I guess I'm going to come and I'm going to play. Or now I know, and I can avoid flying there and not making anything there because there's not enough people, because we're going to get paid based off of you, but I don't know if that's going to work now. So we're going to pay off of merch, but it's a festival, so there's 50 bands worth of merch, and we're not, like, there's so many things that go into it. Like, here's what it costs us to get to this thing.
Yeah. I
just get so mad at people that get mad without knowing
right.
anything. It's like,
right. But like, to me too, it's like I see a lot of that, like, oh, we were going to buy tickets, and it's like, well, you didn't, and that's why you don't get rock festivals in the Northeast.
that's true. The Northeast is notoriously
You're not going to get one.
it's
because-
notoriously poor for newer rock festivals.
Right.
The only things that seem to work out here are legacy bands, and that's it, because there's just not the audience for new stuff in this part of the country, unfortunately.
Yeah. But yeah, I did want to
Sucks.
point that out. But yeah, let's get to Death
I
Birds.
do want to bring Deathbird, our patron, brought up a good question. Given all this information, and next summer rolls around and Capulet Fest asks you back, would you go back? Would you do it?
Well, yeah, I mean, first off, I don't think there's going to be another show done by Capulet.
Yeah,
I don't think there's going to be a show.
I don't think Capulet is going to be a thing.
Something else that did happen that we didn't discuss was, did I send you the video?
No,
I didn't send you the video. So one of the bands who was on the smaller stage yesterday, they were the headliner for the second stage. They got second song in. Security came downstairs and shut the whole thing down.
What? Why?
Because it wasn't paid. The room wasn't paid for.
Oh my God. You're waiting till now to tell me this?
Okay.
We're an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get to this question though. Let's
Wait, I am going to I do want to
well, okay, so I'll answer it while you look for this. As far as I go, would I be a part of it next year?
wait, no. Hold on. So I will put this out. Okay. Sent. I'm going to turn the sound on here.
Okay.
Share
I guess
screen.
we're going to show this video now.
We are. All right. Here we go.
I know. That's why I was like,
We are live at Capulet first. We got into our second song.
they shut us the down.
And
We're too good. We're too good.
and
You
they shut it down.
Let's go, baby.
Right? Closed the door. Told
That's where
everybody
they
to
do
leave.
Yeah, man.
Holy shit.
Dude, what about all your shit that's in there?
Jason, they shut it down, bro.
So many
They
F-bombs.
came in and made everybody leave.
John.
So many
Dean,
F-bombs.
I feel it, bro. So
Good thing
security
you never
comes
want to
in and
make money
says the
with
dude
this.
didn't pay the rent and made everybody leave.
Suck a dick.
Cool. This is
Yeah,
probably the
gotta
best
love
thing to
that
show
shit,
right
right?
now.
Unbelievable.
Can we not
So
show the
I
rest?
guess all the shit you see going on about Cappy Fest is, yep, there it is. Second song. Came in, get the out. Started grabbing people, just throwing them out.
I'll bleep it.
Yeah.
So, gotta share.
I've been trying to spend a long time now.
All right. All right.
I'll bleep them.
I was going to say, we
I'll
have
bleep
to.
them. I'll bleep
You
them.
just gave yourself a lot of work.
It's all right.
But that's crazy.
Yes.
That's crazy.
So, given that now,
Dude.
we'll go back to the question. Given all the information,
Well, no, but I tell you what, as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
right? I'm not going to speak for you, but as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't. I'm not so quick to say to shut the door on things because I don't know. For them to do another thing, they're going to have to address all of this, and they're going to have to come in with a plan and proof of financials and like a whole thing to try and make good, right? So would I do it? If it was well put together and it was something that was going to be a positive experience, and it was, oh, I'm sorry. If it was something that was well put together and going to be a positive experience and it was going to be run well, then yeah, I would do it. I would have the same concerns that I have for anything else with a few more,
right.
you know, but I can't say I would shut the door on anything. If I was given the same information that I was given this time, knowing how this turned out now, I'm going to need more information. I'm going to need more communication. I'm going to need a few more things in place to say like, okay, how do we know that this is A, B, and C is going to happen, right? But things can always go wrong. It is up to you how you handle them. I wouldn't be super quick to work with Estevan, to be honest. I would need to have conversations.
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, this could happen to any festival or anything that we ever do. You can't just say no, never again. You have to learn from the experience as it is, and then take that information and that knowledge into the next thing. So that's like a long way of not answering that question, but maybe.
Never say never.
Maybe I would.
Yeah.
Maybe I would. It depends on the information that I'm given.
I'm gonna kind of tag along with that. Like it would be a never say never situation.
Yeah.
Like I would never close the door on anything. I would definitely ask for more information beforehand, and like, listen, you know, I'm not going to go into the financials and stuff like that
Right.
we were doing, but we didn't really lose money on the deal.
Yeah.
Right. So
we pulled out early enough.
Right.
To where
we
kind of judged it by that. We were like, okay, we have till this time to decide.
Right.
And that way we won't lose money.
Yeah.
And we were able to do
that. We were just
luckily.
We're sort of in, at that point, you know, we were in a unique situation, as we are with several fests, but so we didn't get hurt per se.
Right.
It's not going to bankrupt us or anything like that. Again, for me, I have said, you know, in the past, like, I probably wouldn't work with this person again. I wouldn't do this or I wouldn't do that. And I have.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been burned and then put my hand right back in. Yeah.
As musicians, as musicians who play, how many times have we got burned by promoters?
Yeah.
You know? It's a situation where it's a give and take, you know, like
it's a partnership. It should be.
If you're able to, if you're going to go out there and just sort of be like, all right, well, you took this from me. I need this from you.
Right.
And they like, yeah, you got hurt a little bit, but if they're gonna like show some good faith, well, that means everything to me as far as like being able to accept fault.
Yeah.
And being able to figure things out and know that, hey, their best interest is themselves. They're
as it should be.
And same with us.
Same with us.
You know, so to be like, no, F this guy because of what, like, no, I would never do that. For me to really open up the door for it, I would really love to see him come out and admit some sort of fault.
Yeah, there would have to be
because
a certain amount of that
accountability
for me to take that call.
Yeah, I think accountability is important. And I've messed things up and I've owned it publicly.
Yep, me too.
And you know what? That's the most important, is accepting accountability. Thus far, with how this has been handled, it's been a very twisted narrative.
Yeah.
There's no accountability. It's I'm the victim. I messed. You know, I've been screwed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there have been things. Also, again, this is things that I've been told secondhand. That like bands last minute were like, well, those are 2023 rates, and it's like, no, if you put a contract in place,
right? Nobody does that. Nobody does that if you sign a contract,
right?
That's not a real thing.
So that again, it's twisting the
or
narrative.
You're not doing contracts, which is also unprofessional,
right? Which
something shady is going on there.
If you're booking that far out, you no, you know, like. Yeah. This isn't necessarily
no way you didn't require one, and no way they didn't require one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I do think a lot of questions about this year would have to be answered, and not even answered. I think accountability.
Yeah, I think that's the big That's the big word that
Yeah.
that needs to happen.
And
for me to be like, oh, let's have the conversation.
Yeah. You know, like, hey, listen, we've been weary about dealing with other promoters.
Yeah.
And doing festivals and like kind of like
it even took us a couple of conversations to decide to do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because there was a certain amount of like, all right, well, it has to be different than last year. We need to be able to make it better than last year. We can't just go do the same thing. And that's just our own type of like, okay, we need to raise the level. So we need to be able to have the opportunity to raise the level.
Right.
I think another interesting way to frame that question, though, because I think Deathbird was a great question, which is why you should be patrons, so you can come on and ask us great questions like that and change the format of the show immediately. Would you do it next year as a band? Because we were in a very different situation than the bands.
As a band, knowing how, you know, how thus far things have gone.
Yeah.
It depends on the level you're at, right? So
I think at any level I would need a contract.
So, well, yes, you would need
you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't do it like a typical local show where I was like, okay, we just got offered this thing, we should just do it.
Well, you know, you get bands that are on our level.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not trying to diminish your accomplishments.
No. You're absolutely right.
But chances are he'd have you pay to get on the show.
Of course. Yeah.
So would I pay to get on that show? No, that's like a, well, this went bad last time. Let's dip our toes in the water and do it this time.
Now, as a band at our level, though, say we look at it now and we go, okay, they had a snafu with the thing getting shut down, but then bands played after that. Was that the 200 cap room?
Yes.
Okay. So the 200 cap room wasn't paid for or anything. Say we were on the main stage. Say you were offered main stage. And it was still happening. And we got to look back at this and go, okay, these things went wrong. This went wrong. These bands dropped off. This was a whole kind of a chaotic situation. But at the end of the day, every band that played in front of 500 new people.
I am going to, and that is, you know, again, this is all hypothetical.
Yeah.
Fact of the matter is that there are bands that still paid the $3,000. I'm not going to say who.
Yeah.
We know them. If you watch the show, if you watch our YouTube,
right,
you may know them too.
Right.
They paid $3,000.
I wouldn't pay $3,000 to play for 500 people.
They paid $3,000 to be on the smaller stage.
Right.
They found out it was a 250 cap room, and they stuck with it.
Well, they had to because they signed a contract, and they already paid the money, and they weren't going to get it back.
Right. And they are not just a first year band; they're a second year band.
Yeah.
Right. So, and you know, like, you know, even Gina Fritz plays a lot of shows for Estefan.
Yep.
And she still, you know, listen, I don't know if she had to pay her.
Hey, again, but whatever the person's relationship with, everybody's got certain relationships with certain promoters.
Mm-hmm.
Promoters have their favorite bands.
But I can tell you that the band, the first year, sold a lot of tickets.
Yeah.
I can tell you they sold a lot of tickets. They had a lot of people there for them, whether you like them, whether you don't like them, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of tickets sold. They did the same thing this year. Okay. And now their day is canceled.
Yeah. That's rough. That's a rough pill.
And they were still going to play it to a 250 cap room.
Not only do you lose your money, but all your fans who only paid to support you are not going to get to see you play. Whether they get to see everybody else or not, a lot of times, like I'll even bring up Donna talking about paying tickets to go. Like one of the reasons that they would have bought tickets to go is because we were there, right? And if our bands were there and they were paying because they were supporting our bands and trying to support our bands to get us to another level, even if the rest of the show is great and they get to see the rest of the show and it's awesome, they lose that little bit of like, I'm doing this to help champion my buddies.
But it's, well, then you're talking about putting yourself in the position.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So,
you're right.
So honestly, as a band at the level I'm at now, no, I wouldn't.
I'm not paying $3,000 to play a show unless I'm guaranteed to be in front of 3,000 people. I'll pay $1 a head. So, guaranteed.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I would do that. Sure.
Yeah. I just feel like as a band, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen. It's just, the whole thing is from a band perspective, I just, no way.
Yeah.
No way. It's the same reason why I generally don't do ticket shows.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is it's definitely a different thing. So it's a different question. So that's a different question based on whether it's for the podcast or whether it's for our bands, or even our band. Would Bacon is my passion play the show. Yeah. Next year someone comes to us and says, do Capulet Fest, you can cover it as the podcast and you can play it as a band and we'll give you main stage. I'd consider it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. I would definitely consider it because I would be like, when are we going to get this opportunity? And even if the opportunity is a bust, I'd rather shoot for something and miss than not shoot.
Not shoot at all.
So there's that too. It's a really tough situation to just pick a side.
I agree.
The only side that I will say that I will always pick is I will always support the bands and the musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
the musicians,
unless
the
they're
vendors.
being dicks. When they're being dicks, no.
Right.
But
the
I will always on the air on the side of that.
The media, the people that we're paying to be there.
Yeah.
We do support them, and
it's rough being a promoter. They get a bad rap, but
I have said it, and I've thrown things out in the past, and I'm going to do a post on it this week. But if anybody who's listening to this show, be it band, vendor, other media outlet, whatever it is, if you were affected in a negative way by Capulet Fest, just like we did with Bamboozle, give us a 30 to 60 minute ad read, and we're going to put it in the show for the next few weeks.
Nice. Yeah.
We'll run your commercial for a few weeks, and it will it recoup all your costs?
Nope.
No, probably not. But it's something that we can do to try and help out.
Well, but what it will do is it'll do what we've tried to do this whole time, and that is establish relationships and establish a connection and establish the fact that that we honestly believe that we are really all in this together and we are all here to help each other succeed. And we want to be a home and a venue and a vessel for people that are trying to do something creative and authentic and interesting and reach for something.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, there you have it, folks. Capulet Fest. Was it wrong? Was it right? I mean, listen, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about a lot of instances. I personally think that had this been addressed on Tuesday, Wednesday, and said, "Hey guys, listen, here's the deal.
Yeah,
this is what's happening. This is what the issue is. We're making some adjustments to make sure that this still goes on and it comes. It's still a great festival for everyone. Transparency and honesty is always the best way to go.
Yeah.
I know that it's not always the easiest way to go, but when things go south, that's it. You're done for. It's a calculated risk to not be forthright and honest. It's a super calculated risk.
If you risk something by being truthful, then even if it comes back negative, at least you can hold your head up and you don't have to explain anything.
Right.
Other than what actually happened. Even with the benefit of hindsight, or even what I mean is even without the benefit of hindsight, I think transparency and honesty and accountability are the best ways to go.
Yeah.
And I think that didn't happen here, and I think that that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I hope that happens in the future.
Yeah. And you know, guys, I'm not going to sit here and defend Esteban, but what I am going, what's that?
I said or demonize.
Right. But I'm also going to tell you that he is a human. He is a person.
Yep.
He has a family. He has kids, or at least a kid.
And he lost his ass on this.
And
probably his reputation.
Yeah. Yeah. The guy's a barber. The guy, who knows how this affects his chair.
Yeah.
Locally.
Oh, I like how you phrased that. It was nice.
Yeah, I mean,
it was nice. I mean, we'll get out of the serious right now. That was nice. Well done. All right.
But
don't get cocky.
Yeah. I gotta take it when it comes, right? But guys, yeah, just listen. He is a human. We're all humans. We all mess up. We all we all do the wrong thing at some point in our lives, and that's what lessons are, right?
Yep.
And some are bigger than others, but hopefully we all learn from them. And some people don't. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I think he has. I think he will.
I think he will.
I
hope he does.
What it means to the future, I don't know. Again, all I can speak to is my interactions with him, and even when we said we were not going to play, and even though that response came a long time after, and I even said it, I was like, listen, you probably have a lot on your plate,
dude.
Whatever is going on,
even responding at all is big. Because dude we're the least,
the world against him.
We were like the most important of the least important things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
but he did get back to us, and he was nothing but nice.
Yeah.
Even though we said we were no longer gonna support or be on that festival, and
that's true.
You know, I'm not gonna say this guy's a piece of garbage. I'm just not. Anything that I've said,
everybody makes mistakes, man.
In social media and stuff that people have asked me and stuff. Listen, do I agree with his decisions and his decision making and the way he approached things? No, I don't.
No,
I don't. But we all
think he
make
blew
mistakes. He blew it. He blew it big time. He blew it big time, and you know what? It's going to cost them.
Yeah.
But you know, like, hopefully everybody gets to move forward. You know, and everybody's allowed to be mad.
It's the only way to go.
Everybody's allowed to be mad for a little bit. But if you still attended the show, and you're going to say that you're a victim of Capulet Fest, like,
right.
Get over yourself.
Yo, if you went to the show and had a good time,
over yourself.
If you went to the show and you had a good time, tell people you had a good time. Tell people what bands were your favorite. Tell people what the experience was like in the room with the bands, right? Focus on that.
You don't even
focus on that.
You don't even need to say that you're supporting Capulet itself.
Nope. Just say you had a good time. And
I
these
had a
bands were
good
great.
time in the room with these bands.
Yep.
You know, it wasn't.
And maybe you
a
saw your new
complete
favorite band.
loss.
And that's
Right.
great.
I hope you did. I hope you did.
Someone probably put on a performance that totally affected someone in that room.
Yeah.
And then that's awesome. That was the best show of their life. And they were super affected by it and they had the best time and they're going to talk about it for the rest of their life. Like those things still happen, even in unfortunate circumstances.
Agreed.
You know, like, so be open to it, let it, and if you didn't go, cool, you didn't go. And if you want to talk about how you feel upset about what happened, yeah, of course. Feel free to talk about being upset about what happened. You're allowed to do anything you want, which is great. But just remember that there's human beings there. The bands that played are human beings. The bands that didn't play are human beings. Esteban's a human being. And we're all just human beings on a rock hurtling through space trying to do our best. And sometimes we don't do our best, and sometimes we do our worst, and we should be held accountable for it. But, man, like, maybe tame the venom.
Right.
You know? Think about whether you would say something to that person's face in the room. And if you wouldn't, think about whether you're saying it because you think some stranger online is going to laugh and give you a ha-ha. And then maybe think about whether you want to say it or not, you know? We've said a long time ago, we had an interview with somebody that told us that there are two kinds of people in this world. People you like to see come in a door, people like to see walk out a door. Be the person that people like to see come in a door.
Right.
That will stick with me for the rest of my life.
Forever. That is like one of the first lessons we learned on the show.
Yeah. And it affected me greatly.
Yeah. Big shout out to Mark Merrow.
Yep.
Good dude. Good dude. All right, guys. Well, we've taken up a lot of your time.
Yeah.
It's a long episode.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Around.
We appreciate
Hopefully, listen, tell us your opinion on Capulet Fest.
Yeah.
Tell us how you'd approach it next year. If they come out with listen, as a concert goer, let us know. Would you buy tickets? If they had this killer lineup, would you buy tickets? Or what if Esteban goes, hey, listen, know your limits. We're gonna have it at the Webster. We're gonna do these bands, but it's gonna be like it's gonna match the venue size, and it's gonna, would you go? Let us know. Tell us.
And you know what? Even outside of all that, send us your best festival experience. I want to know that.
Yeah, I got to be honest.
I don't want to hear any more bad stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us your favorite festival experience. Right?
Agreed.
Put it in the comments. Go to baconhillsbypodcast.com and there's a section where you can send us a message. Send it to us in a message. I want to hear some awesome festival experiences. This was a weird one for us. We didn't get to go. A lot of weird stuff has happened, but we've been to festivals where we had the best time ever. You've been to festivals where you've had the best time ever. Share that with us. Let's talk about that. Let's have a conversation about awesome experiences that we had at music festivals, because that's where I'd prefer this to go.
I'm gonna dap you up.
Yeah, man.
I learned that was for my son. Dap you up. I was like,
I just learned that right now.
Yeah. No, I learned like
I just accepted it. I was like, yeah, man. Like I already knew, but like that's just what I do.
Yeah, fake it to make it. I get it.
Dap me up, bro.
We love you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for
Always
hanging with us.
ask
We
yourself
appreciate it so much. And
one super important question. What is that question, Jim?
Just one. What's your bacon?
World peace.